All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. And on this edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast, I have the privilege of being joined by the one and only Ernest Dancy, who is looking as smooth as ever. I'll tell you like this: uh, Michael B. Jordan might have some competition on his hands after this one. But Ern, how you doing today, man?
I'm all right, Will. I'm doing well. Can't complain at all. I'm ready to talk about some basketball, some Lakers news, LeBron, all of that. I'm ready.
Basketball news, Lakers news, drama, and unnecessary drama to boot. Because you look at the Lakers, and I mean, they've stumbled lately. They're still 25 and 16, which is good for sixth place in the Western Conference. But we're talking about a Lakers team that over their last seven is a 2-5. Now they did win on Sunday night at home by 17 against a very improving Toronto Raptors club, but unnecessary drama brought on the Lakers, and it's brought on the Lakers by somebody who's not even employed by the organization. We all know what went down, or what was said, or what was intimated on the Rich Paul podcast with Max Kellerman. And first things first, my thoughts are this: Rich Paul is not an athlete. Okay, we get that, and my stance is, my belief is that when you are an active pro athlete, I feel like you should save the podcasting for after your career is over. Okay, my personal opinion. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you as an agent in the sport that you primarily cover, okay, you're just opening up a can of worms unnecessarily. Your business partner, your homie, your top client, if you will, LeBron James, is teammates with the guy at the center of this controversy. And I'm talking about Austin Reaves. I'll tell you like this: I know Austin Reaves is out right now with the injury. There's no way in the world that the Laker locker room is going to be the same after this.
I agree. I agree. And I found it hard to believe that Rich Paul even said that the Lakers should entertain trading Austin Reaves, especially since Rich Paul is extremely intelligent, right? So anything that comes out of his mouth, everyone's going to already assume that that was a calculated move because everybody knows how intelligent he is.
Mm-hmm.
And by calculated, I mean everybody's going to think that that is something that him and LeBron were discussing. That's just going to come with the territory. When one of your clients, your main client, is the most influential player in the league still
Mm-hmm.
today, speaking of LeBron James,
Right.
you just can't say things like that, especially when it's about a young dude who's in that 24 to 26-year-old range, who is really hitting his stride, averaging about 27, 28 points per game in the backcourt with the franchise player Luka Doncic, and they're doing well.
Right.
So it was like that really came out of left field, and it made their side look salty.
Listen, I've said this before and I will say it again. LeBron and everybody in LeBron's camp, they need to realize something very quickly. The Lakers have themselves a new majority owner in Mark Walter. Mark Walter is a part of that ownership group that owns the Los Angeles Dodgers. And we've seen the success that the Dodgers have had in baseball for the better part of a decade. Now they've won the last two World Series championships. Mark Walter is not Jeannie Buss. Mark Walter is not going to placate to LeBron James. And the thing is, these ain't the same Lakers that LeBron walked into, about 6 or 7 years ago. So my point is this: LeBron needs to fall in line. Okay, and you could say whatever you want. And I'm not saying you like you personally,
Yeah.
but people can say whatever they want as far as, well, you know what? These are Rich Paul's comments. Put it like this: whether it was, Rich Paul or, JJ Redick before on his joint, these people are basically, for the most part, putting the thoughts of LeBron out there. And it's one of those where I feel like this is probably going to be LeBron's last step in the NBA, okay, with the Lakers, because I really don't see a lot of teams lining up to get him next year at this point in his career. And I hate to say this for somebody who has been as great as LeBron has been to the NBA for far so long. LeBron's about to asshole his way out of the NBA. I truly do feel that, and I think this is a scenario where somebody like he and Rich Paul are feeling themselves, especially Rich Paul here, because you heard before, some of Rich Paul's takes about Michael Jordan and his sneakers and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, you're just reaching for stuff right now.
He really
Like,
is.
right,
He really is. And he's too intelligent
right,
for that. And we all know
right.
how intelligent he is. So it's like, why are you even saying these things that nobody even thinks you yourself believe?
No. And that's to me, I think, is the mind-boggling thing, because it was so unnecessary. Because my thing is this, and I've been saying this for quite some time: the Lakers play better without LeBron. And
They
this has been
do.
and it's been like that for a couple of years, because and now you got a scenario where you put LeBron and Luka into the game, two ball dominant guys. So of course the other people around them really aren't going to shine. I feel like when healthy, the Lakers are a better team when it's Austin Reaves and Luka Doncic, in my opinion.
I think
Okay,
DeAndre Ayton definitely plays better when it's just Luca and Austin Reeves.
absolutely. Because you look at it and it's just like, the formula is primarily the same throughout LeBron's career. Okay, I need this guy, I need that guy, I need X, Y, and Z. And on top of that, every time when things go wrong, he's looking for a scapegoat. Well, guess what? Like I said before, it's a new day for the Lakers. Okay, it's a new ownership group. Mark Walter is not, attached at the hip with LeBron. And going forward, they lucked out when Luka fell into their lap last year. Okay, it's been almost a year since the trade, and I can tell you like this, just switching gears very quickly. I went to the gym that Sunday morning and I was telling people about it, and this is like 8 o'clock in the morning, and people were looking at me like they could not believe it. And I was like, I couldn't believe it when I got up, because I got up that morning probably about like 6:30. And like when you wake up early in the morning and you're still like half sleep, and then you might put on the TV to wake up, and you're like, hold on, wait, what did I see? And it was one of those deals. And just like that, the whole tenor of this Lakers franchise changed, because they're gonna go and build this thing around Luka Doncic. You look at
As they should.
absolutely, they got a ton of cap space. Okay, after this season, LeBron's contract is coming off the books, and they're gonna go out there and they're gonna put themselves another star player with a max deal around Luka. And people are like, well, Austin Reaves could, hypothetically speaking, with Rich Paul's idea, go to Memphis and shine. Honestly, I think Austin Reaves can shine with the
Right where
Lakers.
he's at.
Exactly. I just think this was a horrendous idea. The thought process just wasn't there. And I think these guys need to realize that the way that the Lakers have done business in the past, ain't going to be that way anymore. LeBron's not going to sit up there and hold Mark Walter hostage on situations like he has other owners in the past. It's a dawn of a new day.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Like you said, this guy already has a championship pedigree, a prolific one in
Hmm.
other sports. He's coming in with big money. Um, LeBron was not one of his free agent signings. That did not happen under his watch. That was under the Genie Bus era. Uh, yes, it's a new day, rightfully so. Austin Reeves can be a star. He can be an
Hmm.
all-star. He was on the trajectory of becoming an all-star if it wasn't for this last injury that he's had that kept him out so much.
Right.
And you never know. Maybe the coaches will still vote him in. I don't think they will. I think that they will vote LeBron in, but Austin Reaves was about to become an all-star. And I think that LeBron should be by the trade deadline trying to get back to Cleveland because Cleveland is struggling. But if LeBron were to get traded to Cleveland, if he were to waive his no trade clause and get traded to Cleveland for maybe DeAndre Hunter and Jared Allen,
Hmm.
now Cleveland would have a chance in the East. The East is still wide open. It's
Absolutely.
so wide open that you could argue Jason Tatum is looking around and saying, Jaylen Brown has the Celtics humming. We could finish 2 or 3 in the East. I'm definitely coming back because I think we can win a ring this season.
Right.
That's how wide open the East is.
Right.
So I think LeBron should be trying to make his way back to the Cavaliers because if he, by some chance, does do that and they're able to make it through the East to the finals, that team would have a chance at beating OKC, at beating maybe Denver. They would have a chance because
Hmm.
there's somebody named Clint Capella. I'm not saying that Clint Capella is this dominant center, but I also don't think that the Rockets need him. They have
Right.
Steven Adams coming off the bench.
Correct.
They could go out there and get a Clint Capella at the
Hmm.
trade deadline and help fortify that front court with Evan Mobley. So you could have somebody like Clint Capella, Evan Mobley, LeBron, Mitchell, and Garland. And now let the chips fall where they may. I think LeBron should be thinking of that rather than trying to manipulate whether the Lakers trade Austin Reaves for like a Jarrett Jackson or somebody
Hmm.
like that. It's like, come on, man. Let's be serious.
Honestly, I think when it's all said and done, um, I think LeBron is going to try to come back for another season because I think LeBron's ego is going to want him to have a farewell tour by the NBA.
And he's still so good. There's
Right,
still no reason for him to retire.
right.
He's still that good.
I just don't see it happening with Cleveland because I mean, listen, there were some ill feelings, from the first time around.
Yeah, with
They,
Dan Gilbert.
right, with Dan Gilbert. They came back and there was still some more ill feelings towards the end because it's little known fact, but in LeBron's last season with Cleveland, okay, he wanted because the Cavs did have that additional first round pick, which was belonged to the Brooklyn Nets, which went to the Celtics in that Paul Pierce KG trade, and then the Celtics gave that to Cleveland to get Kyrie Irving. And LeBron wanted the Cavs to use that pick to go out there and get an established player at the trade deadline. Dan Gilbert told him straight up and down, listen, hey, sign your contract extension and I'll do it because Dan Gilbert was not, he learned his lesson from the first time with LeBron. He was not going to sit up there and be left to start over from scratch once again. So you got to wonder if there's still, some hurt feelings from everything the second time around. They did win a championship, but I'm not sure. But I'll tell you like this, just hypothetically speaking, because I'm not sure if he's going to last after the season anyway in Cleveland. But if LeBron comes in, I think Kenny Atkinson would be done.
Oh, yeah, oh yes, he'd be finished.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep, he'd be out of there.
so I think it's going to be interesting to see because and this is where, I come back to my comments, as far as like LeBron getting out of the NBA, is it's just that maybe at some point the NBA gets tired of him. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not that LeBron is not still a great player. LeBron can fill it up. We know that. But, it's just all of the drama and all of the other stuff that comes along with it. You know what I'm saying? And you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? Because at this point, it's not like this is a LeBron from 2012 where you're like, all right, we can adjust our team to put it around LeBron because, okay, we're going to have a chance to win. No, you're placating to a guy that's not by himself going to get you over the hump for a championship at this point in his career. And don't get me wrong, LeBron is still a good player, darn good player. Okay. But with that said, I'm not sure if a lot of teams who are in that championship medal or who are in that playoff medal as it is are going to sit up there and really sit back and placate to him at this point in his illustrious career. I just don't see it. I could be wrong, okay, but I simply just don't see it.
Got you, got you. I can name one team right off the top of my head
Hmm.
that he would be a great fit on, in addition to Cleveland, and that would be the Knicks.
I had a feeling you were going to say that. I had a
That
feel.
would that would literally be the Knicks. And the Lakers, if you could get an OG Anunoby for
Oh,
LeBron, let's just say it takes
I,
OG Anunoby and Miles McBride, right?
I would do if I'm the Lakers. I'd do that trade in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat. And if you're the Knicks, you should do that. As long as you don't have to give up both OG Anunoby and Bridges, as long as you can keep one of them,
Hmm.
I would do that because you have the finisher and Jalen Brunson, who can score from the point guard position, right?
Right.
That's what LeBron usually requires. And you have a 3-point shooting big man.
Right.
Cat doesn't even want to post up.
No, he does
They
not.
want him to post up. Cat rather be out there shooting threes.
Hmm.
So that will open things up for LeBron. And then you will have uh, Bridges guarding the best player, or if they traded Bridges and Miles McBride, you will have OG Anunoby
Right.
guarding the best perimeter players. And then you still have the other big man who's usually hurt coming off the bench. He's been relatively
You talk about Mitchell Robinson.
yes,
Hmm.
coming off the bench to help protect the basket, and he's a lob threat.
Right.
So I think LeBron would be perfect on the Knicks, and then that also solves the problem of whether or not he would still be in a huge market.
Nah, listen.
So
I mean, listen. At this point, you have something there because LeBron, at this point in his career, LeBron's not gonna go to a small market per se unless it's a Cleveland because he's from Akron and of course he has plenty of history with the Cavs.
exactly,
Nah, but listen, you're totally on point with that one. The Mike Brown factor, because that would be a potential reunion right there.
that's his
It,
former coach.
right,
Yep.
and I mean honestly, other than that, I would say the only other place could possibly be a Golden State to maybe team up with a Steph Curry. That's about it.
Yep. And that would be in the off season
Hmm.
because then LeBron is an unrestricted free agent, so he could go sign with them.
Correct.
Because they wouldn't be able to trade for him
No,
mid-season because they don't have the assets.
no.
And
I
you're not
mean,
going to trade Jimmy Butler for LeBron. You would
no,
want LeBron playing with Jimmy Butler and Steph. And the
yeah,
Lakers ain't gonna want no Draymond Green.
no. And the thing is like honestly, as much as people have brought up in the past, as far as LeBron, just people just throwing it out there, LeBron going and playing with Steph with the Warriors, it's one of those where honestly, at the end of the day, I don't see it working. I really don't see it working. I don't think it has anything to do with LeBron. I don't think it has anything to do with Steph Curry. I think it would be more about Draymond Green, in my
Yeah,
opinion. And I know that Draymond and LeBron, they're friends, this, that, and the third. But, we saw the issues when Kevin Durant, as an outsider, came to Golden State.
exactly.
And it's one of those where eventually Draymond is going to be Draymond, and then that's going to be it, you know?
Yep. I
So,
agree.
so,
I agree.
but I think at this point, if you're the Lakers, and you can come from under this thing because they have to go forward. And I don't know because I don't see them like flat out saying let's trade LeBron. No, but I don't think at the end of the day, I would be extremely surprised. Okay, if LeBron would be with the Lakers next season. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like again, I really do think they're going in a new direction with Luka Doncic, and it's all about building around Luka, and it's not LeBron's squad anymore. And honestly, it hasn't been LeBron's squad. It stopped being LeBron's squad as soon as they made that trade because even
Oh
before,
yes, of course. Yeah,
e-
that's why you make that trade to transition over to the new regime, the new superstar.
yeah, because
And
even
that's business.
oh yeah, listen, and it's best for business. And
Yeah,
it's one of those because even before this, we saw what was going down for several years. LeBron would be out with an injury. The Lakers would be struggling, this, that, and the third. He would tone the team out, and then those guys would play better and they would start winning games, and then LeBron would come back, and it's one of those where, credit to Rob Pelinka, because the last couple of years we saw him, pull stuff out of his derriere to make
he really
trades,
has.
to make trades to put a team, at the trade deadline. And this has nothing to do with the Luka deal. This was like
He's
before the
been
Luka.
doing great work. He really
Right,
has. He's
right,
been moving heaven and earth
right.
to make some of them trades.
Right. So it's one of those scenarios where now, for me, it's kind of like, you know what? All right, they're gonna do things a little bit differently, and I think they're looking at it long term, for what they're gonna build around number 77. And I think honestly, that's the way to go,
Yeah, I would keep Luca and Austin Reaves together.
Me
And
too.
then not to mention the marketing aspect of it. There's no way in the world I would be trading Austin Reeves.
No.
I just wouldn't do it. And he's homegrown too. They drafted him. Nah, I wouldn't trade him.
Nah, listen, I don't listen. If with this new ownership group, I would be extremely surprised if they pulled a deal to ship out Austin Reeves out of town, because more often than not, what we've seen throughout LeBron's career is whenever these moves are made prior to the trade deadline, they're usually like a temporary fix just for that postseason run.
Yep.
Whether, it was an Antoine Jameson, during LeBron's first run in Cleveland. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember like the big trade acquisitions that they made, during his time with Miami. But then,
Mm.
you think about some of the moves that were made over the years, the second time around with Cleveland, or, this Lakers run and stuff like that. It's one of those where I don't see one of those deals happening this time around.
No, I don't either. I
Hmm.
don't either. And they shouldn't give up like draft capital. I don't even think they have that much draft capital in the stash to begin with. But
No.
whatever they do have, they shouldn't give that up to make any of those moves. It's
Hmm.
not like they're on the clock to win a championship. They're
No.
really not. They're
No.
really not.
No, because I'm looking at the West right now, and I feel like the real contenders to come out of the West this year, Denver's going to get the Joker back at some
Yep.
point.
And
Okay,
and they're playing well while holding down the fort.
correct. As long as San Antonio can keep De'Aaron Fox and Wimbiana healthy, they're
Yep.
going to be in that mix. You've got OKC. Remember, OKC's missing some guys right now. They're missing Jalen Williams. They're missing Isaiah Hartenstein. And then the Rockets. I know that the Rockets, they're not. They don't have Fred VanVleet this year, but I still think you got to keep an eye on them. I feel
They're
like.
one Chris Paul signing away from being a-okay. All they
Mm,
need to do is sign Chris Paul, and it
mm,
makes so much sense because he's a former Rocket anyway.
right.
So it'd be another reunion, and the Rockets better re-sign Chris Paul before OKC does.
Yeah. Because
So,
like, listen, honestly, he would be an asset to either one of those teams that you just
yep.
mentioned. You know what I'm saying? A veteran leadership in the locker room, who's got a guy who's been there and done that.
And SGA likes Chris Paul
Right, because
anyway.
right. So I think it's a deal that definitely could work, man. But like, going back to like last year when this deal, went down for Mark Walter to become the new owner of the Lakers, I said then, I was like, you know what? This is a dawn of a new day with this franchise.
Hmm.
Magic Johnson loved the deal. Okay. And it was like, him and Magic, they worked together with the Dodgers already. And it's just a guy who's a winner. And at the end, not only is he a winner, okay, but Mark Walter's gonna do what's best for business, because I have seen the Dodgers move on from fan favorites in order to go out there and get better players who are going to help the machine go and help them win right now. So it's, like it's a business. Okay. And that's one thing about the business world. We all know this from all sides of it. There's no loyalty.
No, none,
Okay.
none.
And it's like guys are gonna do all right, whatever's gonna like, give us the best opportunity to win. And Mark Walter, it's a little bit harder in the NBA the way that things are structured.
Because
But
of the aprons.
right. But Mark Walter wants to get the Lakers back to being that team that contends for the championship each and every year. And not only that, Mark Walter wants to give people a reason to come to. I know it's no longer the Staples Center, whatever they're calling it now. But for whatever it is, he wants to give people a reason to show up to the arena and watch this team every single night. Okay.
Definitely,
And it's like,
definitely.
people might want to see a LeBron farewell tour, but he's looking at it from the next 10 seasons where you've got a Luka Doncic. And it's like, you know what? We're going to build around this kid and go forward. But I mean, truly getting back to like Rich Paul before, we cap it off, it's just like, dude, you're smarter than this. And I'm from the category where, you know what? He knew what he was talking about. He knew what he was intimating, should I
Yep.
say. But it's one of those where we don't need you to go to LeVar Ball route to create controversy right here. All of this is totally unnecessary because it's one of those where regardless of LeBron's status in the league, LeBron still has to walk into that locker room and deal with that kid. And now you got a scenario where one of Austin Reaves' agents confronted Rich
Rich
Paul
Paul.
recently at a Laker home game. And it's just like, why are you putting yourself out there like this unnecessarily? I just don't get it.
Especially when you're an agent, you're supposed to be playing the back.
Hmm.
You're not supposed to be playing the front. That's the athlete's
Right,
job.
right.
That is the athlete's job. So I don't know. It was really weird. It was like an over. It was not only a misstep, but it was an overstep.
It
It was
was
like, all right, you can
it
have
was
a podcast,
it,
but
it
you
was
didn't have to talk about that.
it was about three or four oversteps, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep. Yep.
I think going forward, if Rich Paul wants to have himself a podcast and if he wants to talk another sport, fine. But I don't think it should be a sport where he has clients in that sport. If he wants to dip into baseball, I don't think you should leave the sport alone. If he wanted listen, if he wanted to talk boxing or something like that, but he doesn't have any clients in that sport, fine, so be it. But and I mean this is not just a LeBron factor because Rich Paul does have other clients who he represents in the
Mega
NBA.
clients,
Right,
mega like stars.
right. So you know what? You need to leave that alone, man. Like,
Yep.
like you need to leave it alone. Maybe do a podcast on cooking, man. I don't know. You know what I'm
Or
saying?
podcast with Adele, with his wife, with
Some
Adele.
listen, something, man. But I'm like,
It's like Rich, you got the world in the palm of your hands, but it's like you can't be manipulating everybody within that world like that, especially that basketball world where you could potentially be messing with another athlete and another agent's money.
absolutely, absolutely, man. And it's one of those where listen, if you do it right, the money in podcasting is insane right now. Okay. And, some people just by their name or status alone, they're going to bring in, views. I just feel like it was just something that was totally unnecessary, B.
Definitely.
Totally unnecessary.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I
So,
couldn't agree more.
and I just wonder because the Lakers, I think they're like 6-9 in their last 15 games and stuff like that. They've had injuries. They've been having defensive issues lately. Austin Reaves is out. Granted, he's not a great defender. Don't get me wrong.
But he's not a horrible defender either.
No, no. But they gotta figure it out. I know they won the last game with Toronto. But it's
But that's
still
minus RJ Barrett because he's
right,
been out.
right. So it's one of those, we really haven't seen Reeves, LeBron, and Luca play together. We've seen Luca play with LeBron. We've seen Luka play with Reeves. We've seen all three of them, but it hasn't been like consistent this year because, of course, Reeves has been out,
Yeah,
the most lately and stuff like that, man. But at the end of the day, just leave it alone. That's all I can say.
yeah. Oh, who do you have right now? What's your top three right now in the too early to call MVP race? Starting from three up into one.
In the too early to call MVP race right now, I'm gonna put Jaylen Brown into that mix, because it's one of those where a lot of people, and I said this was a mistake. A lot of people were writing the Celtics off due to the Jason Tatum injury, and along with the fact that Drew Holiday
Porzingis.
and Porzingis are no longer there. The Celtics have the second best record in the East.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Another guy who I'm gonna put into that mix, I'm gonna put Cade Cunningham because you look at it, yo, Detroit right now, they're 30-10, the best record in the Eastern Conference. And, you can't say enough about the job that JB Bickerstaff has done
Once
uh,
again.
once again, because I feel like, and I think Cleveland is finding it out the hard way right now.
Yep.
That, and it's like, don't get me wrong, Kenny Atkinson, I felt like he was pushing all the right buttons last year for Cleveland, but I feel like his message could be getting stale, very quick there. But nonetheless, I'm gonna go Cade Cunningham with my second pick, and it's one of those for me. I'm gonna go with the reigning MVP once again. I'm gonna put him back in that mix. I'm gonna say SGA. But right now, if I had a vote, I clearly don't. Jaylen Brown would be my guy.
That's who my guy would be also. I
Hmm.
believe that right now he should be, in people's eyes, the front runner for the MVPs, averaging almost 30 a game. I think it's
Yeah,
like 29.5 or something like that, if not 30 now.
right.
Um, he plays both ends of the ball. Obviously, he can lead. There's
Hmm.
no Jason Tatum, so there's only one man
Right.
who's there leading. There's no Al Horford.
No.
There's no Drew Holiday.
Right.
So one man is leading, and they're
Hmm.
all falling in line and following. He's getting the best that you could possibly get out of Derek White, out of Pritchard. Even though Anthony Simons is coming off the bench, he's obviously made him feel like you're an important part of
And
our team.
and not to cut you, I felt like a lot of people didn't pay attention to the fact that Boston got him back from Portland. I said it when that trade went down. I was like, you know
Yep.
what? Anthony Simons is going to
It's going to be very important.
yep, yep,
Going to
yep,
be very important.
yep. And as quiet as kept, he's a bench player for the Celtics as well, Luka Garza. And
Yep.
it's one of those where Garza has finally found a team that is willing to somewhat use him properly because I don't
Minnesota should have did it. I
min-
don't know why Minnesota wasn't playing him like that.
and see my thing with him is this because if you went I remember watching him when he played at Iowa. He was the Big Ten's player of the year. He was a national player of the year. This kid was averaging like 22 and 12. You could not stop that dude in the post. Okay. And this is what frustrates me where like some of these teams especially nowadays in the NBA, they'll draft a guy, and he plays a certain way, right? And you try to change him and make him a perimeter guy. And
Yep.
it's like you look at his strengths, man. I'm like, listen, you could not stop this kid close to the basket. Now they haven't necessarily made him a back to the basket guy, but they're giving him more opportunities in the paint, which
To
is
make something happen.
right. So I look at that and I'm like, finally somebody's utilizing this kid properly. So I'm looking at the Celtics and I know I told some Knicks fans this, and Knicks fans, the bulk of them, think that, oh, I'm a hater for their team. It's not that. I'm just talking about what I see, and I'm a realist. I said, listen, I said this before the season started. Do not be surprised if the Celtics have a better record than the Knicks at the end of the season. And people looked at me and they laughed, and I'm like, yo, you look at both of these teams right now. The Celtics are 26 and 15. The Knicks are 25 and 18. The Knicks have lost their last four. They have not, people could say, they haven't played well since the NBA Cup. Typically, teams that you win those NBA Cup, the NBA Cup, it doesn't translate
No,
to
it's a fall off.
right throughout the season. But I think the biggest thing for me is you don't see. I know that the Knicks have dealt with injuries. They just got Brunson back. They just got Josh Hart back. But also, you don't see the defensive intensity for this team
That
like
we
they
had
with
last year.
right with Tom Thibodeau. And this is what I told people: be careful what you ask for.
That was a bad firing.
It was a not only was it a bad firing, but in some ways it was a lateral movement, if not a couple of steps back, because I feel like if you're gonna move on from a guy like Tibbs, especially after what the Knicks had accomplished last year, you have to find somebody that's going to take you that next step.
I
You
didn't. I thought they were going to hire Mike Malone. I didn't like. I don't know why they hired
Mike
Mike
Brown.
Brown. I have no idea. I thought for sure they were hiring Mike Malone.
And I don't even think the Knicks even reached out to Mike Malone because I feel like if the Knicks had reached out to Mike Malone, he would have taken the job. He's a New York City guy.
Yep.
Okay. His dad was an assistant coach with the Knicks, but I guess maybe they felt like he would have been too much like how Tibbs was. You know what I'm saying? And maybe, just maybe, the team needed that. But again, I mean, the guy got you to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years, and then you show him the door because the players complained about him. But you know what? Could he been hard on the players? Absolutely. But you know what? Give me a coach who's going to be hard on me, and I'm going to be successful.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, the coach is not supposed to be your friend. The coach is not supposed to sit up there and tell you everything that you want to hear. He's supposed to tell you everything that you need to hear.
Yeah. That's true.
There's a big difference.
That's
Okay,
true.
so I'm looking at it. I mean, I still think the Knicks, I said coming in, I said the Knicks should win 60 games. They're not going to win 60 games at this point. It's probably the way they're looking, they're probably going to win in that 45 to 50, win range, but they're still going to be judged solely by what they do in the playoffs. And I feel like with the pressure that's on that team, anything less than a trip to the NBA Finals is going to be a failed season. And guess what? It's probably going to be a failed season for the Knicks because the East is wide open, yes, but it's not like a cakewalk, if you will, because Detroit gave them problems in the playoffs last year. And I feel like Detroit is like one big move, like at the trade deadline, from really
Hmm.
solidifying themselves. Boston is still a team to be reckoned with. If Philadelphia can just keep Joel Embiid healthy,
Because he looks like he's rounding back into form, is what it's looking like. And Paul George seems quite comfortable averaging 15, 16. That is what it's looking like. They just got Kelly Oubre back.
you got Tyrese Maxey, you
Yep.
got VJ Edgecombe. I think Philadelphia is, they're going to continue to be a problem. Um, it's one of those. I feel like those are the three teams, or the four, the three teams other than the Knicks that you really got to worry about in the East.
Philly has the best roster in the East.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As long as they can keep everybody
Health.
healthy. And then the X factor that we ain't talking about, there's a possibility that Jason Tatum comes back for the Celtics in the second
That,
half of the season or the playoffs.
yep.
And it's just like, listen, you don't need Jason Tatum to be Jason Tatum like he was in the past.
No.
Just give me 15 minutes.
And don't try to hog any offensive spotlight from Jaylen Brown.
They don't need it. Listen, honestly, hypothetically speaking, you bring Jason Tatum back into the mix. I got him coming off the bench. I
To
wouldn't even.
begin with,
I
to
I
begin with,
I would not. I would not start Jason Tatum for the rest of the season. I would say
ease them
Jason.
slowly, ease them
I,
very slowly, like the Pacers did with Paul George. I know it was two different injuries,
right.
but like the Pacers did with Paul George.
Give me 15 minutes. That's all I need from you.
Yeah,
Give me 15 minutes,
yup,
and we're good.
yup.
And we're good.
I agree.
But listen, man, we covered a lot, on the main topic. I know that we shifted gears slightly towards there at the end. But like I said, this whole narrative as far as, Rich Paul having an open forum, that's gotta change. And it's one of those I'm really interested to see how the locker room looks at this, and I'm also interested to see how Lakers management looks at this going
Deals with
forward.
this. Uh-huh.
Yes, that like those are going to be two uh like two interesting narratives for me coming off of
I
this.
agree. I agree. I agree.
But folks, that is going to wrap it up on this edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast. As always, much love and a big shout out to Ernest for coming on here and taking the time out to talk with me tonight on this topic. And Ernest, as always, man, anything that you're working on, because I know you've been working on a lot of ventures
A
lately.
lot.
You
A
know, and
lot.
anything that you want to let the folks know about out there.
So I just want everybody to pick up your phone, go to the app stores, and download the Views app. Put in Views, create, watch, and enjoy. Or just visit www.views.watch. It is the social multimedia platform of the present and the future. What we're trying to do is create that bridge between user generated content and traditional broadcast and cable content into a social media slash streaming app, and that's Views. So, like I said, go on ahead and visit www.views.watch, and I'll see everyone on there.
Listen, Ern, I know you've been successful with that already, and I know it's only going to grow. You know what I'm saying? And as always, man, because I'm one of those, I love to give people their flowers while they're doing something, man. Listen, keep up the hard work, man.
Thank you, Will. Thank you. And like always, I enjoy being on your show, talking sports, talking basketball.
Listen, man, for all y'all folks out there to check this out, as always, hit the like button as well as subscribing to this channel. It's always appreciated. You can check me out on the X at 300 pounds of sports. If you give me that follow, I'll do the same for you in return. That also goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 pounds of sports knowledge, and definitely check out the Sports Depot 365 on Facebook. So for Ernest Dancy, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.